To the Prime Minister, does he stand by all of his government's statements and actions?
Yes, in particular, I stand by this government's action to ban mobile phones in schools. Officially kicking in yesterday, the ban is already helping young Kiwis focus on learning the skills they need to succeed, and schools across the country are reporting more engaged kids, louder playgrounds and sports fields at lunchtime, more positive interaction and less cyberbullying. We're committed to delivering better public services for Kiwis, and this is just one part of our plan to do exactly that.
Supplementary question. What additional factors was he made aware of between the 4th of March, when he expressed full confidence in Melissa Lee, and last week when he dismissed her from the broadcasting portfolio?
As I discussed last week, Melissa Lee and Penny Simmons, for that matter, are hard-working, good ministers doing an excellent job. But those portfolios became more complex and more complicated, and I want them managed by senior ministers.
Supplementary question. What additional factors was he made aware of between the 26th of March, when he expressed full confidence in Penny Simmons, and last week when he dismissed her from the disability portfolio?
Again, as I said, the agenda and disability issues became more complicated and complex, and I want that managed by more senior ministers. But what I just say is that that's the same leader who was his Prime Minister, along with Grant Robertson, who was former Minister of Finance, who actually got advice about the problems in that department agency and their management of their money and their budget, and did nothing about it. It was typical of his government not to face up to issues, not to deal with them. We're doing that.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order.
An answer in reference to the last segment of the Prime Minister's answer, it neither related to the question nor is anything that the Prime Minister has any responsibility for. Will you give me a couple of extra supplementary questions in compensation for that?
Fair enough. One.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does he agree with David Seymour and Shane Jones' criticism of the Waitangi Tribunal? If not, why not?
Again, what I'd say to you, I have strong ministers doing an excellent job, and both those ministers are doing exactly that.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. I asked the Prime Minister whether he agreed with the criticism that David Seymour and Shane Jones have made of a government entity, the Waitangi Tribunal, and if he didn't, why he didn't agree with them. He didn't even address that.
I'll answer again.
Have another go.
Look, I wouldn't characterise that way. What I would say is that I've made my statements on that, and you saw that in media last week.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Public statements that ministers make, certainly the subject can be the subject of questioning, but they're not read into the record of the House. Any minister being asked a question shouldn't be referred simply to public statements that have been made. The minister has an obligation to answer to the House.
To address the question. The obligation is, in fact, thank you, Mr. Jones, I'll do this on my own, if that's all right, to address a question. And by saying that, he refers to public statements he's made as addressing the question.
Supplementary question. Does he believe that David Seymour and Shane Jones' criticism of the Waitangi Tribunal breaches the Cabinet Manual?
I wouldn't characterise it that way, and you've seen my statements on the issue.
Why does it not breach the Cabinet Manual?
Because I don't believe it does.
Supplementary question.
Can I,
the Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Can I ask the Prime Minister as to whether he's told his cabinet colleagues?
Hang on a minute. Wait on. When questions are being asked, they're asked in silence. Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Has the Prime Minister told his cabinet colleagues to concentrate on great principles and great political programs rather than venal, vicious personal attacks?
I think all my ministers are very clear. We are here to get things done for New Zealanders, and they're doing a great job doing that.
Supplementary question. Will the Prime Minister take disciplinary action against ministerial colleagues like David Seymour and Shane Jones attacking the legitimacy of the Waitangi Tribunal in breach of the Cabinet Manual? If not, why not?
Look, I have to say the sanctimony from that member is quite outrageous, because it took him longer to sack Michael Wood than it will take for the backbench to sack him.
Speaker, not only does the Prime Minister not have responsibility for that, he hasn't addressed the question that was asked.
That was the problem.
Well, he did, by saying that he didn't agree with the sanctity of the question, which is a kind of a dismissing, but it's nonetheless addressing the question.
Supplementary question. Who is right, the Prime Minister, who said that ultimately he determines the performance of Cabinet Ministers, or David Seymour, who said that the Prime Minister sacking an ACT Minister would be a breach of the faith of the coalition agreement and would be a major problem?
The Prime Minister.